making sure everybody's mute. Okay, right, I think we can get going. Let me just spotlight my video. Cool. So, let's get started. Welcome to Wednesday evening yoga. Come and take a seat on your mat, finding a nice, easy seat. Crossing your legs if you can, maybe slipping a block or a pillow underneath the hips to raise the hips up if you've got any discomfort in your knees. Sitting up nice and tall, letting the shoulders drop away from the ears, just gently closing the eyes and starting to take the focus and the awareness to the breathing. Taking nice, long, deep inhales. Nice, long, slow exhales. Becoming mindful, becoming present on our mat, checking in, leaving behind our day, letting go of our worries and our cares. Just taking this next hour for you to practice yoga, to focus on the breath, listening to the body, really feeling that connection between the mind, the body and the breath all the way through the practice. Nice long inhales, nice long exhales, smoothing out that breath, sitting up nice and tall, feeling the connection to the earth through the seat bones, and with that connection lifting up through that spine, taking the shoulders and rolling around and taking them back down your back. Sitting up nice and tall, head just gently resting on top of the spine. Breathing in nice and deeply, exhaling nice and slowly, being mindful of that pelvic floor, lifting and engaging the pelvic floor, the Mula Bandha. Lifting and engaging that navel, the Uddiyana Bandha, keeping our bandhas locked throughout our practice, help to seal in the energy. Nice long inhales, nice long exhales. Remembering as we move through our practice that it's your yoga journey, it's your practice. Only come to your own edge, only come to wherever feels comfortable for you. Yoga is not a competitive sport. So listen to the body, know when you've come far enough in a pose, know when you can maybe just push yourself that little bit further. Inhaling nice and deeply, exhaling nice and slowly. Moving on to our pranayama exercise. We'll begin with Nadi Shodhana breathing, sometimes called alternate nostril breathing or horseshoe breath. So taking the right hand and gently placing that right thumb on the right nostril, taking the middle finger and the index finger and placing them over the third eye, placing the ring finger over the left nostril, and letting that pinky finger just curl in gently to the palm. Beginning by taking a nice deep inhale through both nostrils. And then gently closing off that right nostril, begin to exhale through the left. Inhale through the left. Closing it off, exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Closing it off, exhale through the left. Inhale through the left. Exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Exhale through the left. Inhale through the left. Exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Exhale through the left. Inhale through the left. Exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Exhale through the left. Inhale through the left. And then gently letting go, exhaling through both nostrils. Taking a moment to check in. Notice how calm and centered the mind feels. Notice how relaxed the body feels. A really good pranayama exercise for helping to balance that left and right hemispheres of the brain. And then gently bringing the eyes open, taking your awareness back into the room, sitting up nice and tall. Well done, everybody. So from here, coming over onto all fours. Taking the hands underneath the shoulders, taking the knees underneath the hips, coming into that neutral tabletop position. Inhaling, picking up that right foot and crossing that right foot over in front of that left knee. So you're making the figure 4 shape through your legs. Moving through our cat-cow here. So as you inhale, lifting the tailbone, lifting the head and dropping the belly. And as you exhale, coming through into that cat, as you arch the spine and lower the head and lower the tailbone. Inhaling, lowering the belly, lifting up the head and the tailbone. Exhaling, lifting that belly. Inhaling, dropping the belly, feeling the opening up through that right hip. Exhaling, coming all the way through. So in your own time, your own breath, just moving through that cat-cow stretch. Moving the spine in one direction and taking the spine in the other direction, and feel that gentle opening, that gentle stretch through that right hip as you do so. And then gently come back to the center, uncross your legs, coming back into that neutral tabletop. And we'll repeat on the other side. So taking that left foot and crossing that left foot in front of that right knee. Setting up for our cat-cow. So again, inhaling, dropping the belly, lifting the head and the tailbone. Exhaling, curling the spine in the opposite direction. So inhaling and exhaling with your own breath, moving through that cat-cow stretch, really feeling that spine articulating in one direction and then taking the spine in the other direction, and feeling a gentle opening and a gentle release through that left hip. Remembering that breath, nice long inhales, nice long exhales. Using that breath to help guide and support us. And letting go of that left leg, coming back into that neutral tabletop. From here, inhaling, as you inhale, lifting that right arm and taking that right arm all the way up to the sky, looking up towards that right thumb. Exhaling, taking that right arm and threading it underneath the left and coming to rest on that right shoulder and holding here on the right shoulder, taking that left hand coming up onto the fingertips, taking a little bit further forward and bending through that left elbow and feeling the opening up through the right shoulder. Holding here, breathing nice and deeply. Exhaling nice and slowly. And then gently release, pulling that right hand all the way through and then lifting that right arm all the way up to the sky. Exhaling, coming all the way back to the center and resetting to set up for the left side. Inhaling, lifting that left arm all the way up to the sky. Exhaling, taking that left arm underneath the right, threading through the needle, gently dropping down onto that left shoulder, that left cheekbone, taking that right hand a little bit further forward, bending through the elbow, coming up onto the fingertips, and holding here, feeling that stretch and that opening up through that left shoulder. Remembering to inhale nice and deeply. Exhale nice and slowly. And then inhaling, lifting your left arm all the way back up, taking that left arm all the way up to the sky. And exhaling, coming all the way back into that neutral tabletop. Well done. From here, curling through the toes. And as you inhale, start to take the hips back over the heels. And then lift yourself all the way up into a nice, easy downward facing dog, keeping that bend through the knees. Just gently walk and pedal your dog, feeling it opening up through the back chain of the body, letting go of any tension through the neck and the shoulders, opening up through the calves, the hamstrings, warming up all the way through the feet. And then taking an even deeper bend through the knees, looking forward towards the hands, stepping that left foot up towards that left hand, that right foot up towards that right hand, keeping that bend through the knees. Come into a nice, easy forward fold and just hang here in your forward fold for a breath. And exhaling. And then start to walk the feet just a little bit wider than the hips, maybe taking them out towards the outer edges of the mat. And take your weight over that right leg and just hang over that right leg. Inhaling nice and deeply, exhaling nice and slowly. And then on your next inhale, start to take yourself all the way up that right leg. So taking the hands slowly up that right leg as you uncurl through that spine, lifting yourself all the way up. Taking the arms all the way up through that midline of the body, reaching all the way up to the sky. And then as you exhale, taking the hands all the way down through that left side, and then all the way down over that left leg, and come to rest hanging over that left leg. And inhaling here nice and deeply, exhaling nice and slowly, feeling that stretch and that opening up through that left hamstring. Inhaling, lifting yourself up, taking the arms back up, that left leg, lifting yourself all the way up through that left leg, all the way up, and then coming all the way up through that midline of the body, reaching all the way up nice and tall. Exhaling, taking your hands to your heart center, Samastitihi. Well done. Taking the feet, so they're hip width distance apart towards the top of the mat, setting up for our classical Surya Namaskara, finding our Tadasana first pose first, rooting down into all four corners of the feet, navel in and up, pelvic floor engaged and shoulders back and down. Inhaling, lifting the arms all the way up to the sky. Exhaling, coming down through into that nice easy forward fold, keeping a bend through the knees. Inhaling, taking a step back with that right foot, dropping down onto that right knee, letting go of the right toes. Holding here and just feeling a gentle opening up through that right hip flexor. Remembering to engage through the core. Keep the shoulders away from the ears. Inhaling, picking up that left leg, taking that left leg back parallel to the right, and then sit back into your downward facing dog. Inhaling nice and deeply in your dog. Exhaling nice and slowly. And then inhaling, and as you inhale, start to wave that spine forward, taking yourself forward and coming to lie face down on the mat. Taking the hands underneath the shoulders, tops of the feet resting on the mat. Inhaling in here and starting to lift that chest up and just coming through a baby cobra. And exhaling, coming all the way back down to resting on the mat. Inhaling, lifting yourself up, engaging through that core into that neutral tabletop. And then exhaling, sitting back into your child's pose. Take a nice deep inhale. A nice long exhale. And then inhaling, lifting up into that tabletop, and at the same time picking up that right knee and taking that right knee in towards the chest as you move that right foot forward in between your hands, coming into our low lunge or Anjasana. Opening up through that left hip flex. So remembering only to come to wherever feels good for you here. We're just warming up, so you may not want to come too deep. Just come as low as feels good for you. Just breathing into that left hip flexor, remembering the shoulders back and away from the ears, that pelvic floor lifted and engaged. And then inhaling, coming onto the toes of that back left foot, and then picking up that left foot and taking it forward so that your left foot and right foot are parallel, about a hip width distance apart. And then come into a nice easy forward fold, keeping that bend through the knees here, trying to let the weight go through the shoulders and the neck, just relaxing all the way through the spine. Try not to hold tension anywhere in the body. Trying to let that tension go, feeling the stress leaving the body. And then inhaling, taking your hips back in spaces so you're about to sit in a chair, taking the arms in line with the ears, and then lifting yourself all the way up to standing, reaching all the way up to the sky, hands to your heart center, Samastitihi. Take a nice deep inhale, a nice long exhale. Well done, and we'll repeat on the left-hand side. So inhaling, reaching all the way up to the sky. Exhaling, coming through into that nice easy forward fold, keeping that bend through the knees. Inhaling, taking a step back with that left foot, dropping down onto that left knee, letting go of those left toes. And holding here, feeling the opening up through that left hip flexor, remembering the shoulders back and down, that tummy in and up. And then inhaling, picking up that right knee, taking it back parallel to the left, and sit back into your child's pose, remembering there are alternatives for child's pose. If it's not comfortable having your arms or stretched all the way out, you can take a slight bend through the arms, or you can take the arms all the way back in line with the hips. Remember, it's your practice. Go with whatever feels good for you today. And then inhaling, start to wave that spine and wave yourself all the way forward and come to lie face down on the mat. Taking the hands just outside the mat, coming up onto those gecko fingers, coming up through into our balasana, cobra pose, our Bhujangasana cobra pose, looking up and over each shoulder. So inhaling, lifting up, and as you lift up, start to turn the head and look up and over that right shoulder. And then exhale and come all the way back down again. And then inhaling, lifting up and looking up and over that left shoulder. And then exhaling, coming all the way back down. And we'll repeat one more time. So inhaling, lifting up and looking up and over that right shoulder. And exhaling, coming all the way back down. Inhaling, lifting up and looking up and over that left shoulder. And exhaling, coming all the way back down to lying on your mats. Taking your hands underneath your shoulders. Inhaling and lifting yourself up, using that core to activate and lift you all the way up. And then exhale and come all the way back through into that child's pose. Take a nice deep inhale. A nice long exhale. And then inhaling, coming all the way through into that neutral tabletop, and at the same time lifting up that left leg, taking that left leg forward and planting that left foot in between the hands at the front of the mat. And feeling that opening up through that hip flexor, stretching through that right hip flexor, breathing into that right hip flexor, engaging through that core, taking the shoulders away from the ears, letting all the tension go through the neck and the shoulders. And then inhaling, coming onto the toes of that back right foot, and then taking that right foot forward to meet the left, so they're roughly about a hip width distance apart, keeping that soft bend through the knees, come into that nice easy forward fold. And hold here in the forward fold again, just for a few breaths. Trying to let the tension go through the neck and the shoulders, maybe just moving the head from side to side or some gentle circles. Just encouraging the tension to let go from the neck, from the shoulders, just trying to release that tension that we tend to hold all the way through the upper part of the back. Inhaling and exhaling. And then taking our hips back as though we're about to sit in the chair. Inhaling, taking the arms in line with the ears and lifting yourself all the way up, reaching up towards the sky, nice and tall. Exhaling, taking your hands to your heart center. Samastitihi. Well done, everybody. Take a nice deep inhale, a nice long exhale, and then we'll just do some gentle swings just to encourage the body to let go of any tension. So just start to swing around from side to side, swinging the arms all the way around. Feeling the tension leave the shoulders, working through those hips and the knees. Just encouraging that body to let go of any tension, become nice and easy, nice and stress-free. Focusing on that breath, remembering the breath all the way through our practice. And then gently come back to the center. Standing up nice and tall, setting up for our Surya Namaskara A. You can take your toes together here, feet together, if you're used to keeping your feet together through regular yoga practice. If there's any discomfort in the lower back here, or you're relatively new to yoga, take your feet width distance apart. Always be mindful, respectful of that lower back. So from here, inhaling and lifting all the way up to the sky. Exhaling, coming through into that forward fold. Remembering here, if you have the option to start to straighten out the legs, if that feels good for you. But if it's not for you tonight, you need to keep a soft bend through the knees, and that's absolutely fine too. Inhaling, coming into our L shape. Taking the hands onto the shins and lengthening out through that spine, lifting that core. And then exhaling, gently release, coming all the way back into that forward fold. Inhaling, taking a step back with one foot, and then taking a step back with the other foot, and then exhaling, pushing yourself back into your downward facing dog. Take a nice deep inhale, a nice long exhale. Well done. And then gently lowering onto your knees. And then from here, lowering down onto your belly. Setting up for our Bhujangasana, our Cobra pose. So taking the hands underneath the shoulders, inhaling, and starting to lift that chest up off the floor. If the baby Cobra is where you're at today, you want to stay here, that's fine. If you want to come up into that full Cobra, you can come here, or you can come up into the upward facing dog. Come wherever feels good for you, wherever you can feel that opening through the back. And then gently release, taking yourself all the way back down to lying on the mat. Inhaling, pushing yourself all the way back up into that tabletop position. And then exhaling, lifting yourself all the way up into a downward facing dog. If a downward facing dog's not comfortable for you and you prefer to be in the tabletop position, then that's fine. You can come to tabletop for these next few exercises, these next few postures. So inhaling, taking your right leg all the way up to the sky, coming into that three-legged dog. Remembering you can do this in tabletop if it's too intense in downward facing dog. Exhaling, pulling that knee all the way into the chest and hugging that knee into the chest and coming over into the high plank. Inhaling, lifting that right leg all the way to the sky. Exhaling, pulling that right knee forward and tapping that right elbow with that right knee. Inhaling, reaching all the way up. Exhaling, coming all the way forward and tapping that left elbow with that right knee. And inhaling, reaching all the way up. Exhaling, pulling that knee back into the chest and holding here. And then inhaling, reaching all the way up. Exhaling, dropping back down into a downward facing dog. Gently walking and pedaling your dog. If you are in tabletop, you can just stay in tabletop and gently swing the hips from side to side, looking for a nice release through the hips. Inhaling nice and deeply, exhaling nice and slowly, getting ready to set up on the left side. Inhaling, lifting that left leg all the way up to the sky into that three-legged dog. Exhaling, pulling that left knee forward in towards the nose. Inhaling, reaching all the way up. Exhaling, left knee to left elbow. Inhaling, reaching all the way up. Exhaling, left knee to right elbow. Inhaling, reaching all the way up. Exhaling, taking that left knee back in towards the chest. And then exhaling, lifting all the way up to the sky.
And gently coming all the way back down into that downward facing dog. Breathing nice and deeply, gently walking and pedaling your dog here. Exhaling nice and slowly and getting ready to come back into our forward fold. If you want to, you can just gently step one leg up and then the other leg up towards your hands and come into that forward fold. If you want to come with me and do a little hop, then take a deep bend through the knees, a deep bend through the elbows, look forward towards the hands, engage through the core and lift yourself up and hop forward. And then come into that forward fold, remembering your feet can be hip-width distance apart if that's more comfortable for you today, if there's less tension in the lower back. Or you can start to straighten out the legs if that feels good, but only ever come to wherever feels good for you. And then gently lowering the hips back as though you're about to sit down in a chair, taking the arms in line with the ears and inhaling and lifting yourself all the way up, reaching all the way to the sky, hands to your heart center. Samastitihi. Well done, everybody. Take a nice deep inhale. A nice long exhale. Giving yourself a little shake, the legs and the arms, setting up for our tree pose. So I'll come this way so you guys can see what I'm doing a bit better. So moving through into our tree, so rooting down into the earth through the left foot, taking that right foot either to the ankle, if that's where your balance is today, or in towards the calf, or you can take the foot just above the knee, or you can take the foot up in towards your inner thigh. So come to wherever feels good in your tree pose and just hold here, finding our balance tonight. Letting the shoulders drop away from the ears, engaging through that core. Feeling the connection between the foot and the thigh. Feeling that grounding through the earth. Breathing nice and deeply, exhaling nice and slowly, holding our tree. And then gently release, letting go of the arms, letting go of the leg. Well done. So from here, rooting down through into that right foot, will repeat on the other side. So taking that left foot to the ankle or into the calf, above the knee or all the way up into the inner thigh, and hold in our tree pose on this side. So again, thinking about standing up nice and tall, shoulders away from the ears, navel and up, pelvic floor engaged. Finding a drishti point for the gaze really helps with the balance. Feeling the connection between that foot and the thigh and pressing the foot into the thigh and the thigh into the foot also helps with the balance here. Inhaling and exhaling. And then gently release, letting go of the hands, letting go of the legs. Well done. Give yourself again a nice little shake before we move into our Surya Namaskara A. So just keeping everything nice and loose, everything nice and tension free. Inhaling, reaching all the way up to the sky. Exhaling, coming through into that forward fold, keeping the legs bent here if you need to, but if you want to straighten your legs or work towards straighten your legs, that's fine. Inhaling, coming through into our L shape, taking the hands onto the shins, feeling that traction all the way through that spine as you lengthen out that spine. Exhaling, coming all the way back forward into that forward fold. Inhaling, taking a step back with one foot, and taking a step back with the other foot, and then on the exhale, push yourself back into that downward facing dog. Inhaling, lifting up that right leg all the way to the sky. Exhaling, pulling that right leg all the way in towards your knee, and then dropping that right foot in between your hands at the front of the mat. Take the right foot more over towards the right thumb. And just check you've got roughly about a hip width distance in terms of the width of the feet across the width of the mat here. So from here, inhaling and lengthening out through that spine, feeling a nice long spine. Exhaling, taking a bend through that back knee, and then start to use your core to lift you up and lift yourself all the way up and come up into that high lunge. Crescent lunge, nice and high.
Moving through dynamic lunges here. Inhaling, taking the arms all the way up to the sky. And as you do so, straighten out through that front leg. Exhaling, bending down, coming into that lunge. Inhaling, reaching up. Exhaling, dropping down. Inhaling, reaching up. Exhaling, dropping down. Inhaling and exhaling as you move dynamically through the lunge. Notice how you come that little bit deeper each time you come forward into that lunge. And then holding here just for a breath. And then exhaling, taking your hands forward outside that front right foot. And then dropping down onto that back left knee, letting go of the toes of the left foot. And then start to turn your torso over towards that right side of the body. So taking the torso over towards the right side of the mat and taking the torso over that right thigh and taking the left hand outside that right foot, coming through and feeling a twist through the torso. So opening up here and then maybe coming into Namaste hands, prayer hands, and feeling that twist through the torso as you open up through the thighs, through the hips. Breathing nice and deeply, exhaling nice and slowly. If you want more, you can come up onto the toes of that back foot and hold here, finding your balance. Well done. And then gently release, taking your hands outside that front foot. And then from here, coming onto the sole of that back foot and turning that back foot in towards the mat, about a 45-degree angle. And then starting to just gently come up and lift yourself all the way up, setting up for our pyramid pose. So that front right leg is forward and you want to start to straighten out that front right leg. That back leg's turned in about a 45-degree angle. Taking the arms behind you and clasping your hands, your elbows behind you here. You can stay here with the elbows clasped if that's where you're at. If you want more, you can come into reverse Namaste hands, where you take your hands into prayer pose. I'll show you this way, behind your back. So that's an option for you, but if it doesn't feel good for you and that's not where you want to be and you want to just clasp your elbows, then that's fine too. So from here, start to try and square the hips off towards the front of the mat and the shoulders off towards the front of the mat. Take a nice deep inhale. And as you exhale, start to fold forward and start to come forward over that front right leg, keeping a nice straight front right leg. Unless you have any issues with your knee, in which case take a bend through the knee. And hold here and feel yourself draping over that front right leg. Inhaling and exhaling nice and deeply. And then inhaling, coming all the way back up. Well done. Letting go of the arms, taking the hands onto the waist, and gently turn that right foot forward so that both feet now are parallel to the side of the mat, taking a bit of a wider stance here, maybe about a leg's distance apart between the feet. Setting up for our Prasarita Padottanasana. So inhaling, taking the arms all the way out, and then taking them onto our hips on the exhale. Inhaling, coming through into a soft baby back bend. And as you exhale, start to take yourself forward. Gently coming forward and taking your hands down onto the mat in front of you, just in front of your face here. Inhaling, coming up halfway, and then lengthening out through that spine, feeling that spine lengthening out, nice long spine. As you exhale and come forward into that forward fold with that nice long spine. And just hold here in our Prasarita Padottanasana A, our extended wide angle forward fold. Breathing nice and deeply, exhaling nice and slowly. Feeling the opening up through the hamstrings, engaging through that core, keeping that spine nice and long, space throughout the rib cage.
And then inhaling, coming halfway up. Exhaling, taking your hands onto your waist. And inhaling, lifting yourself all the way back up to standing. Well done, guys. And then from here, just gently turn that left foot now towards, so it's facing towards the other side of the mat. Taking your hands outside that front left foot, come onto the toes of that back right foot. And then from here, lifting up that left knee, pulling that left knee into the chest and then stepping it back and coming back into that downward facing dog. Take a nice deep inhale, a nice long exhale, and then inhaling, lifting that left leg all the way up to the sky into that three-legged dog. Exhaling, pulling that left knee in towards the chest, stepping that left foot in between your hands at the front of the mat. Taking that left foot more over towards that left hand, so you've got roughly about a hip width distance between your feet for a nice stable base as we move into our lunge pose. So inhaling here, feeling that lengthening through that spine, shoulders away from the ears. As you exhale, take a small micro bend through that back knee, engage through that core and lift yourself up, using that core to help lift you all the way up into our high lunge. Moving through some dynamic lunges. Inhaling, taking the arms all the way up through the midline of the body, stretching all the way up to the sky with the arms while you straighten out through that front leg. And exhaling, bending through the knees, taking the hands into the fists out at your waist. Inhaling, reaching all the way up. Exhaling, coming down. Inhaling, reaching up. Exhaling, lowering down. Inhaling, reaching up. Exhaling, lowering into that lunge. Moving through our dynamic lunges here. Noticing how we come that little bit deeper each time we lower down into that lunge. Moving with the breath nice and slowly. And exhale and hold here just for a moment. And then gently coming all the way forward over that front left foot, dropping down onto that right knee, letting go of the right toes. And from here, start to walk yourself over towards, or the hands over towards the other side of the mat. So you're taking your torso over and taking over that left thigh, taking that right hand outside that left foot and twisting through that low lunge and holding here. Maybe coming and taking your hands into Namaste hands and feeling that twist through the torso and that opening up through the hips. If you want more, you can come onto the toes of that back foot and hold here. Breathing nice and deeply, exhaling nice and slowly. And then gently release, coming all the way back to the center. And then from here, starting to take that back foot, the sole of the back foot down, about a 45-degree angle, pointing up towards the top of the mat. And then lifting yourself up and setting up for our pyramid pose. So straightening out that front left leg to your own degree. Taking the arms behind you and either clasping the arms at the elbows, or if you want to, you can come into reverse Namaste hands, so reverse prayer hands. So wherever you're at in your practice today, you go there. Inhaling, lifting up nice and tall, engaging through that core. And as you exhale, start to fold over that front left leg. Remembering that knee doesn't have to be straight. You can take a bend through the knee if you have any knee issues, any injuries in the knee, keep a soft bend. If it feels more comfortable, keep a soft bend. Breathing nice and deeply, exhaling nice and slowly, feeling the opening up through that hamstring. Opening up across the shoulders. Well done. And then release, coming all the way up. Letting go of the hands, giving them a little shake. And then swiveling that left foot to the side of the mat. So both feet again are at the side of the, facing towards the lengthways side of the mat. Taking a soft bend through the knees. And let's just move from side to side here. Again, looking for a release through the shoulders, through the neck, through the hips and the thighs, just keeping everything nice and wavy, everything nice and easy. Trying to encourage that body to let go of tension, to release the stress that we may be holding. And then come back to center and start to straighten out those legs, taking the hands down in front of your face, keeping your arms straight, engaging through that core, nice long spine. Inhaling, lifting up that right arm and lifting that right arm up to the sky as you look up and over that right shoulder towards that right thumb. Exhaling, coming back to the center. Inhaling, lifting up through the left, taking the left arm up to the sky, looking up over that left shoulder towards that left thumb. Exhaling back to center. Inhaling, lifting up through the right, lifting up nice and tall. Exhaling, coming back to center. And then inhaling, lifting all the way up to the left. Exhaling, coming all the way back to the center. Well done, guys. And then gently walking your hands over towards that right foot, turning onto the right foot so it's facing towards the top of the mat, coming onto the toes of that back left foot. Taking the hands, palms down, lifting up through that right knee, hugging in towards your chest, stepping your way back into that downward facing dog. And then keeping the feet together, take the knees quite far apart, wider than the hips, lowering down onto your knees, and then sitting back with your hips over your heels, taking the arms out in front of you if it feels comfortable. If this doesn't feel good, you can take your arms back behind you. And just hold here in our Balasana, our extended child's pose. Letting the tension go through the hips, letting the tension go through the shoulders. Breathing nice and deeply, exhaling nice and slowly. And then start to walk the hands over towards the left side of your mat. And taking your hands all the way over to the left. Leaving your hips where they are. Start to really lengthen out through that right arm so you can feel that opening all the way through that right side of the body. Maybe looking up and underneath that right arm if you can. Feeling that stretch and that opening up. Breathing into that right lung. And then inhaling, coming all the way back to the center. And then we'll repeat, taking everything over to the right side of the body. So taking the arms all the way over to the right. Looking up underneath that left arm, perhaps. And feeling the opening up all the way through that left side of the body. Breathing into that left lung, feeling that stretch. Well done. And inhaling, coming all the way back to the center. And holding here just in our child's pose for just one more breath. And let go of the breath. Well done. Inhaling, coming all the way forward. Come to lying face down on your mat, on your belly. Setting up for our Shalabhasana. Our locust pose, slightly modified here. We'll move through opposite arms and opposite legs, raising at the same time to activate all the way along the chain of the muscles along the back. So inhaling, lifting up that right arm and that left leg and stretching that arm out and that leg out, and feel yourself lifting and activating all the way through that back chain. Exhaling, lowering back down again. Inhaling, lifting up that left arm and that right leg, and really looking for that length all the way through the arm, all the way through the leg. Exhaling, lowering back down again. Inhaling, lifting up that right arm and that left leg. Exhaling and lowering. Inhaling, left arm and right leg. Feeling that extension all the way through the limbs, activating all the way through the back. Exhaling, lowering back down again. And one more time each side. Inhaling that right arm and that left leg. And lowering on the exhale. And inhaling that left arm and that right leg. And on the exhale, lowering back down again. Well done. Taking the hands, placing one hand just underneath your forehead, the other hand just on top of it, making a nice little pillow. And taking the forehead and resting on top of the folded hands, coming into Makrasana or crocodile pose. Breathing in nice and deeply, exhaling nice and slowly, looking for a release of tension through the shoulders, through the neck. And then taking the hands underneath the shoulders, inhaling, lifting yourself all the way up into that tabletop position. Taking that right knee, crossing that right knee over the left, and then sitting back over your heels, coming back into sitting on the mat, taking the legs out in front of you. Well done. So moving through a rocking boat sequence here, just to activate through the core. So begin by actually coming and lying down on your mat with your knees bent. Taking the arms just in line with the knees here. And then taking the knees up to about hip height. There we go. Sorry, in line with the hips. And then inhaling nice and deeply. And as you exhale, start to lift yourself up and lift yourself all the way up into that half boat. And then gently inhaling, coming back. Exhaling, lifting up. Inhaling, lowering, taking the legs out. Exhaling, coming all the way up. Inhaling, taking back. Exhaling as you lift up and activate through the core. Inhaling, lowering back down. Exhaling, lifting yourself up, activating through the core. Exhaling, lowering down. And one more time, inhaling, lifting all the way up. And exhaling, lowering down and holding down into our tuck here. And then release, pulling the knees towards the chest, giving yourself a nice big hug. Inhaling and exhaling. It's really important to have that nice strong core. Working through the core helps really helps all the yoga poses. If you have a nice strong core, also helps support that back, so you're less likely to have any back issues. So it's good to strengthen up that core. So from here, moving into our bridge breathing. Taking the hands just outside the hips, keeping the knees bent, setting up. So on the inhale, you lift up the hips, reaching up the hips up towards the sky, taking the arms behind you, reaching the hands behind you. As you exhale, lowering those hips back down to the mat, as you lower the arms back down to the sides of the body. Inhaling, reaching all the way up through into our bridge. Exhaling, lowering all the way back down, matching the breath with the movement, trying to finish the breath as you finish the movement. Inhaling, lifting those hips up, taking the hands behind you. Exhaling, gently lowering back down, taking the hips back down onto the mat. Again, inhaling, lifting yourself all the way up. Exhaling, lowering back down, and repeat one more time. Inhaling, lifting up. Reaching up nice and long with those arms, nice and high with those hips. Exhaling, lowering yourself all the way back down onto the mat. Well done. And then from here, taking the knees, hugging the knees in towards the chest, coming into Apanasana, our wind relieving pose. Pulling the knees in, hugging yourself nice and tight. Feeling that release through the back in this forward fold. And then letting go of the knees slightly, taking one hand, your right hand over your right knee, your left hand over your left knee,
And just make some gentle circles with the knees, taking a range of movement through the hips, just moving in one way and then gently stopping, and then circling the hips around in the other way, or the knees around in the other way. And then gently come back to the center, and then take your feet back down onto the mat. From here, moving into our twists, taking that right leg and crossing that right leg over the left. And then slightly picking up your hips and moving them just slightly over towards the right side of the mat. And then start to take both knees over to that left side of the mat, coming through into that twist and that hip opener. Taking the arms out in line with the shoulders, trying to keep both shoulders connected to the earth, and maybe taking the gaze and gently turning the head and looking over towards that right hand. Feeling that twist through the torso, keeping both shoulders connected to the earth, feeling the opening up through the chest, and feeling that gentle stretch and opening up through that right hip. Breathing nice and deeply, exhaling nice and slowly. And then gently release, coming all the way back to the center and unhooking that right leg, setting up for our left. So taking that left leg, crossing that left leg over the right. And then picking up the hips and moving them slightly over towards that left side of the mat. And start to take both knees over to the right side, keeping both shoulders connected to the earth. Maybe taking your gaze and gently looking over towards that left hand. And feeling the opening up through the chest, feeling that twist through the torso, and feeling that opening up through that left hip. Just breathing into the stretch here, a lot going on. And enjoying the release through the chest, through the hips. And that wringing out of the tension through the torso with a twist. Well done. And then gently release, coming all the way back to the center, unhooking those legs and coming to rest, lying back down on the mat. And then from here, lifting up that right leg, keeping that bent knee, left leg bent with the foot on the floor, and taking that right leg up towards the sky and trying to straighten out that right leg to your own degree, however feels good for you. If you can maybe stretch up and hook onto that right big toe and encourage that stretch. If you've got a soft bend here through the knee, that's absolutely fine. You may feel a stretch through that back of the hamstring, and holding here with a bend through the knee, or you can start to work towards straightening out that leg. Keeping that left hand just gently resting on that left hip, and just encouraging that opening up through all the way down the back of that right leg. Breathing into the stretch and exhaling. And then gently release, letting that leg go. And then repeating on the left, taking the left leg all the way up to the sky, keeping a bend through that right knee, keeping that right foot on the earth. If you can reach up and clasp that big left toe with the left hand, and hold here, feeling the opening up through that left leg, keeping a soft bend if you have any knee injuries, or if it feels better for you to keep that bend if the straight leg's too intense, and just work towards straight leg if you can. I have an injury through my left knee, so I'm more mindful through my left leg, so I'm going to keep that soft bend, and I can still feel the opening up through that hamstring, so I'm still getting a stretch here, but I'm coming to my own edge. No stress, no strain, certainly never any pain. And then gently release that leg all the way down
And then from here, taking both legs this time and letting them fall down onto the mat. Then your arms fall out to the side of the mat, setting up for our Shavasana, our relaxation pose. So lying back on your mat, letting the legs flop out to the side, letting the arms flop out to the side. Letting your shoulders relax into the mat, letting your hips relax into the mat. And gently closing your eyes. If lying on your back doesn't feel good for you, then you can lie on your belly or you can lie on your side. Just coming to wherever feels good for you, where you can relax and let go. This is the most important pose of our practice. This is where we seal in all that good energy. So just take a few minutes, give yourself permission to relax, to switch off, let go of all thoughts. Start to smooth out the fluctuations in the mind. Start to feel the tension leaving the body. Feeling the feet relaxing into the mat, your legs relaxing into the mat. The whole of your back relaxing, your core, your chest, your shoulders and your arms. Everything's just letting go of any tension and sinking into the mat. Looking for a gentle release through the jaw, maybe just wiggling from side to side. Quite often we hold tension in the jaw, we don't even know we're doing it. So good just to let it go. Feeling the release through the cheekbones, the temples, the forehead and the scalp. The whole body is relaxed. Letting go of all thoughts. Letting go of control over the breath. Start to take your focus to just behind your eyelids. Noticing the colors flicker and change. Don't try to name the colors. No judgment. Just watching them pass. Becoming the silent observer. And then slowly, gently, begin to bring your awareness back into the room. Taking some slow, gentle movement through your fingers, your toes, your hands and your feet. Taking the arms and stretching the arms all the way over your head. As you come into that nice full body stretch, lengthening through the torso, lengthening through the limbs, reaching out nice and long.
Inhaling, pulling the knees in towards your chest, giving yourself a nice big hug here. Maybe gently rocking from side to side, just gently massaging through that spine. And then from here, just rocking over onto your side and holding in that fetal position on your side just for a moment. Just letting that central nervous system reset. And then when you're ready, coming all the way back up to seated, coming back into that nice, easy seat, sitting up nice and tall. Finishing with 3 big inhales and a nice big exhale with a big sigh. Inhaling nice and deeply and sighing it out. Inhaling again. One more time. Well done, everybody. Taking your hands to your heart center in Anjali Mudra. Sitting up nice and tall. Take a nice deep inhale. Thank you for sharing your practice with me this evening. Namaste. Well done, everybody. If you have any questions, any feedback, anything you'd like me to change or incorporate, any suggestions, just email me at yogabalancebyangela@gmail.com. Happy to hear from you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. Namaste.